impacted by what shall transpire here today. We pray your blessing. We pray, Lord God, that this will redound to the advancement of this place that we call Tobago. And we give you thanks for all that shall transpire in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Assemblyman Baines. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, who will be joining us shortly. Presiding Officer Abby Taylor. Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard. Assistant Secretary, Councillor Orlando Kerr. Other secretaries and assistant secretaries, Administrator of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Janelle Williams. Chairman of the Tobago Urban and Rural Housing Corporation, Ms. Celicia Duke. Chairman and members of the Home Improvement Grant Oversight Committee, members of staff, Home Improvement Grant recipients and land and housing recipients, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. Good afternoon again. Yeah, it's a good day. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this grant, townhouses and land distribution ceremony hosted by the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development. I'm Davia Chambers, and it's my pleasure to take you through this afternoon's program. Today's program, ladies and gentlemen, reflects the organization's commitment to empowering individuals and strengthening our community as they provide essential support to residents of Tobago. As we begin, please help me to invite to the lectern, Administrator in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Janelle Williams, to officially welcome us all.
Chief Secretary in the Tobago House of Assembly, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, who will be with us shortly. Presiding Officer of the Tobago House of Assembly, Ms. Abby Taylor. Secretary in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard. Assistant Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Councillor Orlando Kerr. Other secretaries and assistant secretaries of the Tobago House of Assembly. Administrator in the Office of the Chief Secretary, Mrs. Melissa James Guy. Chairman of the Tobago Urban and Rural Housing Corporation, Ms. Celicia Duke. Chairman and members of the Home Improvement Grant Oversight Committee. Heads of sections, senior staff, and other members of staff in the Division of Settlement, Public Utilities and Rural Development. Our specially invited guests, Home Improvement Grant recipients and land and housing recipients, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great joy and a sense of purpose that I welcome each and every one of you to today's event. On behalf of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, I want to extend a warm greeting to all attendees and especially to our esteemed grant recipients and those selected in the land lottery. Today marks my first public address since joining the division in August, and I'm truly honored to share this special occasion with you. This afternoon, we celebrate not just an event, but the beginning of new opportunities and brighter futures. Applying for grants and for housing, do so because of the spiraling cost of materials and labor, and that our assistance closes the gap for many which would otherwise be a bridgeless chasm. Today's event is a testament to our commitment to empowering those who need it most and ensuring that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, has a fair chance to thrive. To our grant recipients, we are proud to support you on this journey of upgrading and completing your houses. We believe in your participation in the land lottery. Today symbolizes a fresh start and a foundation, literally and figuratively, upon which you can build your dreams. We understand that land ownership is a transformative step, and we are honored to be part of this life-changing process with you. As we move through today's program, I encourage you to embrace this moment, to feel proud of your fortune thus far, and to stay inspired by the possibilities ahead. Our team at the division is there to support you, and we hope that today will leave you feeling even more hopeful and excited about your future. Once again, welcome and thank you for being here. We are honored to be part of your journey and look forward to sharing in your continued success. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your warm welcome. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll hear from one of the grant recipients. Following heavy rainfall and the landslides in 2022, nearly half of Brandon Hercules' property sustained significant damage. Given the severity of the situation and the extent of the repairs needed, this afternoon, Mr. Hercules will be receiving the full grant payment of $50,000 in a single installment to urgently address these critical repairs. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Mr. Brandon Hercules to share a few words to express his heartfelt gratitude.
Good afternoon. I'm Brandon Hercules. I'm quite shy a little bit. Right, observe all protocol. Good afternoon. Right, something small. I am deeply grateful to have been selected as a recipient of the beneficiary own land program under the Division Home Improvement Grant. This gorgeous support will make a meaningful difference in enhance the quality of my home and improve my family comfort and well-being after being sustained damage during the landslide in 2022. Your assistance has come at a critical time, and I truly appreciate the opportunity to make these much needed upgrade. Thank you for your commitment to help individuals and families like this. I will make sure to put these resources to good use and cherish the positive impact it will have on our lives. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon Hercules. As we move along with the program, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Assemblyman Ian Pollard, Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities, and Rural Development, to share his remarks. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
President, good afternoon, one and all. And good afternoon to the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, the Deputy Chief Secretary, Dr. Faith B. Israel, Presiding Officer of the Tobago House of Assembly, Ms. Abby Taylor, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Councillor Orlando Kerr, other secretaries, Assistant Secretaries of the Tobago House of Assembly, Administrator of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Janelle Williams, Administrator of the Office of the Chief Secretary, Mrs. Melissa James Guy, Chairman of the Tobago Urban and Rural Housing Corporation, Mr. Lisa Duke, and other members of the board, Chairman and members of the Home Improvement Grant Oversight Committee, heads of sections, senior staff, and other members of the staff of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, other special invited guests, Home Improvement Grant recipient, and Land and Housing recipient, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon marks a memorable event. As my administrator said, it's a life-changing event for some of you who will be receiving lands. But I am indeed Also grateful for those who would be receiving grants. I know that you all be grateful. It was long in coming from the division, but we had challenges as a division with finances, so to give you all these grants at a timely moment. But here we are today. To give you a little brief history on where we are, in the last fiscal, the division distributed, including today, $5,865,000 in grants. And in comparison to this year, we were afforded $4 million in grants. Based on the allocation of each grants, some of them $15,000, some $20,000, some $35,000 to $50,000. When I did the calculation, we could only support 191 families in this fiscal. A meager amount based on what we see when we visit the homes on the outside. I was in conversation, meeting this morning with my assistant secretary and the chief administrator, who has to review all the files before payments is processed. And I must say, indeed, to her, I always say it publicly, we have a very good working relationship. She's new, she's working with us to make sure that we implement the plans and the vision of the division. And when she saw some of the condition of the homes, that the staff go out there and interview and who are given these grants, she was like, Secretary, people living in some deplorable conditions. And they are. These grants have to be used to uplift your life, improve your home. We have some persons who try to access these grants who just need to just change a window. Some people want to put on a washroom. When you go into some person's homes, you could see where their kids could fall through the flooring. I mean, we have pictures with 5 pigtail buckets in people's roof. It is deplorable, it is bad out there, people. So there will be changes in the grants policy. The Executive Council is yet to approve it. But it's high time that these grants meet those persons who really, really deserve it. We know that there's a lot of pressures in today, especially single mothers. Last week I got a call from a young lady because of the pressures of nowhere to live. She called this suicide hotline twice. And this is a young woman with a child. Because it is really tough out there. It is really, really tough. It is really bad. So we, as a division, have taken the decision, along with the Executive Council, that as Mr. Hercules received 1 check, it was my intention and the Executive Council that grants be given in 1 tranche. Because it doesn't make sense to give persons $10,000, you have to bring back any bills, then you get the next $10,000. Some persons cannot wait that long. It was also part of our discussion that we give material only, because it's high time that persons put sweat equity into improving their homes. Because the cost of material we face today, $10,000 worth in material or $15,000, cannot do some of the things that needed to do on some homes. So it's something that the Executive Council has to sign off on as to if we're going to give 1 check. We have to have the hardware buying. That is, they would make sure that the materials are available. And if we could get it at a reduced price, because we know the cost is astronomically high compared to Trinidad. So it's a work in progress in this fiscal. We hope that we could get it off the ground as soon as possible. So when persons apply for grants, they get the check in the name of the hardware, because financial time we know is on all of us. And some of these stories we have, a couple of weeks ago, someone trying to access the grants and taking the money to go and buy a motor car. So we have to do our due diligence to make sure that this money really reaches those who really need it. You can't put all these stop measures in place. Somebody will slip through the crack. But these are some of the things that we are facing. Other person using the money for what it was not catered for, but If I'm a mother and I do have food on the table, and I just receive a check for $10,000, you are forced in a situation that you have to make a choice. But then you come back to the division, and we have to try to assist you in some way. But we're hoping that we could, with a bigger allocation, probably next year, admin, we could suffice a lot more that is needed. It was an arduous task getting to this point. I must commend the Oversight Committee, who sat day in, day out, costed me a couple $1,000 by meals, but they sat diligently for hours. They even worked on the weekend to make sure that they went through these files thoroughly and make sure that those persons who were indeed in need were selected and files sent on to the administrator so that persons could receive their checks. So some of the things that we found as anomalies in the grants process is that some persons are not being honest. They're not disclosing their total household income because it's all process. We have some persons putting on 5 little addition in 1 yard and 5 persons applying for grants, which is not part of the policy. But we know that everyone is feeling the pressure financially out there. Some persons are not working. So there are some amendments that we hope that we could make to appeal or appease everyone that is in need, but we cannot do that at this point in time. So said for the grants program. Now we're talking about those recipients of lands. It is my intention as secretary and the division that every parcel of land, every home that we meet will be given out to Tobagonians once you're in need. I've said it on several occasions. I came in here and I was told there were no units available. Like townhouse unit at Adventure. Today we have 4 recipients who will be receiving townhouses. And the infinite wisdom of the Executive Council, persons who will be receiving these townhouses will make a deposit of 10% of the cost. We have reduced the cost because we are going to give them as is because they need some repair works done on it. And then even one of the recipients who is a senior citizen, the Executive Council have waived the 10% deposit, and these recipients could pay as low as $1,000 a month to a high of $3,000 a month for the next 25 years. And it's a position that we want to move to because on my trips to St. Vincent and Jamaica, you saw it, where we have intergenerational mortgages. So you have your children could take over if you die, because just coming here today, one of the recipients who was selected for Colon, I just learned that she died in August. And her daughter is expressing the fact that she's the only child and she would like to still be considered to be the recipient. So once we could get these things implemented and make sure that we have these intergenerational mortgages so that your kids could be on your mortgage, you could be in the family. This is 25-year lease arrangement. So it's ample time for families to pay off. I mean, you don't have to have this strain of paying $5,000 or $10,000. It's a meager sum of, it might be meager to me, but to others, $1,000 to $3,000 per month. So these 4 recipients will have these units at reduced cost and be able to do renovation works. You have to come to the division, do the legal process of having your lease agreement drawn up, and you made your deposit. And mind you, all the funds that will be paid here will be used to either purchase lands and develop for future Tobagonians or use in the grants program. So we are hoping that the 77 persons who in total that will be receiving letters awarding them parcels of lands, that you make your payments, so that's you're paying forward to other Tobagonians. So once you pay your money, this will be used for future development. For the persons that call on, I have yet to have discussion with my colleague, Secretary James, but it was discussed with the board. It's a flat piece of land, so we want to make sure that we clean it. There's just roads on the perimeter that needs to be done, so if it could be done in-house, because, ladies and gentlemen, it is not politics, but it is, I'm a politician. And Tobagonians must know the facts. This is the housing unit division in the THA. And this year's allocation, my division was given $2 million to build houses. The affordable houses we try to build at those using alternative materials cost $535,000. So we could build 3.5 houses for Tobagonian. The Ministry of Housing in Trinidad received $192 million. And that doesn't include the Minister of Rural Development in Trinidad, who has money to do this kind of housing. I want it to sink in to Tobagonians. We got $2 million to construct home. We got $4 million for grants. What are we doing? What are we doing? I want you all to ask yourself the question, how are you preparing for the future generation? If we have a housing shortage, because the United Nations said that in their report that Tobago is woefully, we are lagging behind in number of housing units on the island. And if we only have $2 million from central government to construct home, we have to ask ourselves the question. I could speak for myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Executive Council. So I want to put that out there one time. My perception is this arrangement between Trinidad and Tobago needs to be renegotiated. Otherwise, next 10, 15 years, these young ones will have nowhere to live. And while we sit and murmur about color of jerseys, there's $171 trillion in oil and gas just off our shores of Castara. And we are given $2 million to construct home. Do not think about yourself, you know. Almost everyone inside here, we're not on the upside, we're on the downside of the slope. We have to think about the future generation and what legacy you are leaving for your children. Some of us may be fortunate that we have 1 or 2 children and we have enough assets we can leave for them. But what about those who have 4 or 5 kids? You have 1 parcel of land. It's something that I want Tobagonians to really think about and make sure that we stand up and make our voices be heard. We try to give out everything. Some of the lands that will be given out today have been on the drawing board for the last 10 years. But it was my desire that not a parcel of land will be left for nobody, whether it is of my ilk, or no family or no friend, no. Tobagonians, because what is happening is it's an economic movement. In that when you have your parcel of land and you decide to build, you're hiring a Tobago contractor. Tobagonians are getting the jobs. Less strain on the Tobago House of Assembly. But if we have the lands there and do not deliver them to you all, the economy will just stay stagnant. So I urge you, all you recipients will be receiving lands today. Well, there's a timeline where that you could pay off and you have a timeline to construct. But I am urging you all that you use that and make sure that you start constructing, providing some form of employment to the young men, on the contractors on the island, young women, so that we could have some form of economic activity on the island. It is not just to keep and sit down there for 5 and 10 years. That's not how the lease arrangement is with the government. So I urge you, you could get started as soon as possible. So, beside these persons from Colon, we decided that there are 28 parcels of land in Blemin. There's another 17 in Belgarden. There's about 12 in Castara. And only last night I had conversation with the surveyor. And Tongue and Country has reverted to one of the old designs that we had, so we might have another 15 parcels available in Blemin. So that will be 15 other Tobagonians who will receive lands. As soon as we have those cadastral sheets, all 15 parcels will be given out. Now, going back to the company, I am indeed grateful for the infinite wisdom of the Chief Secretary, the Executive Council, and the advisors of having us have a special purpose company to deliver homes in Tobago. And the special purpose company is tasked with delivering homes, design, build, finance, because we don't have money, in at Riseland, Adventure, Canby, what's the name? Canby, Mason Hall, and Bacalet. So I know they are well on the way with discussing with the contractors as to start date, working out, ironing out the differences, because there are some back and forth, but we're hoping that these, at least 2 of these development sites could start by the year end, so that by mid next year, Tobagonians could actually be comfortable, at least they have a home. So I'm always urging them to work hard. I always push them to the max to make sure that we have these negotiations completed as fast as possible, so we could have some economic activities on the island, so we could stem the crime and bring much satisfaction to those who are really in need. So, I must say to you all, thank you all for coming. Do not lose hope, do not lose focus. We are delivering as fast and as best as we could, and we hope that today brings some level of satisfaction to you and your family in receiving your parcel of land or your home and your grants. With these few words, I say thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our Chief Secretary is unable to join us at this moment, so we move along with our program as planned. At this time, we will have the grant distribution. And assisting us first is the presiding officer, Ms. Abby Taylor, who was once a member of staff of the division. A little fun fact. So let's welcome her, ladies and gentlemen. Our first recipient, Lisa James Beckles. Our next recipient, Avion Legaton. Is Avion Legaton here? Okay, we move on to the next recipient, Limina Paul Hannibal. Round of applause. Dave Miller. Koisha Cordner. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I now invite the Administrator in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Janelle Williams, to assist us. Our next recipient, Keon Marcel, Home Improvement Subsidy. Rhonda Marcel, beneficiary-owned land. Asha Jones Brooks. Michael Cox. Irvin Henry. Mr. Henry is followed by Yvette Ann Roberts. Our next recipient is Sharon Brathwaite. Kelton Gardner. Thank you, Ms. Williams. The Assistant Secretary in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Councillor Orlando Kerr, will now assist us with the next set of distributions. I invite recipient Karen Williams. Is Karen Williams here? Okay, we move on to the next recipient, Roxanne Jofield. Wendy John. Maria Bristol McLeod. She's followed by Danielle Franklin. Alicia Moore McKellar or Owen McKellar. Next up, we have Karen Toussaint. Stidale or Stidali Nichols, and let me humbly apologize if I mispronounce your name. Stidale Nichols. Thank you, Assistant Secretary Kerr. Assisting us with the distribution at this time is the Secretary in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard. Our next recipient, Monica Batiste. Bennett. Our next recipient, Ria Glassglow. Next, we have Akeisha Phillips John. Up next, Kyle Marcel. He's followed by Silvert Paulson. Next, we have Ethelyn Chance. She's followed by Nyasha Smith. Brandon Hercules. Thank you, Secretary Assemblyman Ian Pollard. And now I invite Deputy Chief Secretary Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel to assist us with the distribution. I invite recipient Philroy Ford. Mr. Ford is followed by Leslie Manswell. I now call on Charmaine Gibbs. Our next recipient is Darren McKenna. her daughter is collecting on her behalf. Our next recipient is Yvonne Greenwich. And lastly in this section, Esther Spencer. Thank you, Deputy Chief Secretary, Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel. I now invite Secretary Assemblyman Trevor James, Secretary of the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, to assist us with the presentation. We've reached the category of land distribution. Recipient of land at Castara, the Open Bible Church. I call on Mr. Nigel Williams. And just for your information, ladies and gentlemen, we have other recipients for land at Castara, but they aren't here with us today. There's Delroy Walker, Curlon Ferguson, and Sharina Blake. So another recipient of land at Castara is here with us, Miss Sharina Blake. So I now invite her center stage. Sharina. Sharina Blake and then Curlon Ferguson. So we have another recipient here with us for land at Castara, Curlon Ferguson. you, Assemblyman James. I now invite Councillor Tashia Burris, Secretary of the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, to assist us with the next set of presentations. Recipients of land at Bell Garden. First up, we have Desiree Williams. Next, we have Haley Wright. Thank you, Secretary Councillor Burris. I now invite Assistant Secretary in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, Assemblyman Megan Morrison, to assist us. We're continuing with lands at Bell Garden, and I now invite Mr. Kerwin John. I now invite Curden Hislop, recipient of land at Portland. We have another recipient of land at Corland here with us, Salisha McDougall. I call on Delroy Walker, recipient of land at Castara. Thank you, Assemblyman Morrison. We move on to our last distribution this afternoon. Recipients of townhouses at Adventure Housing Development, and I call on the Secretary of the Division once more to assist us. I invite Darrell and Nathalie Douglas. Matthew Adams. Joanne Blake. Joanne Blake. Her brother is collecting on her behalf. And lastly, Jerome Boyce. Is that person here with us? It doesn't seem so. So that brings us to the end of the grant, land, and townhouses distribution. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I invite the Assistant Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities, and Rural Development, Councillor Orlando Kerr, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel, give thanks as yet, so let's hold on and see what's going to happen.
So apparently we have some more distribution. So I'm just going to call the names. And if you are here, you'll just come to collect. I invite Assistant Secretary in the Division of Food Security, Assemblyman Nigel Tate, to assist us with the distribution. Damian Macmillan. Is that person here or a representative? Okay, Marion Kent. Johnny Noel. Martin. That person isn't here with us. Denry Cyrus. Afia Duke. So someone will collect on Afia's behalf. Malika Peters. Naya Dick. Adrian Phillips. Can we keep the round of applause going, ladies and gentlemen? Kimari, Scotland. Thank you Assemblyman Tate. So that brings us to the end of the distribution this afternoon. Congratulations to all of our recipients. And now we'll have the vote of thanks by Councillor Orlando Kerr.
Vote of thanks, take 2. So I start again by acknowledging our Deputy Chief Secretary, Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel, our presiding officer, Ms. Abby Taylor, our Secretary of the Division, who wears his emotions on his sleeve, Assemblyman Pollard, our hardworking administrator, other secretaries and assistant secretaries of the Tobago House of Assembly, administrator in the office of the Chief Secretary, Mrs. Melissa James Guy, chairman of the Urban and Rural Housing Corporation, Ms. Salisha Duke, chairman and members of the Home Improvement Grant Oversight Committee, head of section, senior staff, and other members of staff of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, and of course, other specially invited guests here, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I supposedly would have had the most easy task this afternoon to say thank you, but it's not always easy to say thank you because most times you inadvertently leave someone out and they have you in the crowd and they say that you didn't say thank you. So for those persons who I may not acknowledge as saying thank you, I want to say thank you up front, so you're bigger than the rest, right? So let me start by thanking our administrator, our new administrator. I am regarded as the new kid on the block in settlements. As everyone knew, I was in education and I thought education was this fast-paced division. But coming to the division of settlements, I recognize that settlements is a division of heart because you encounter so many issues on a daily basis with persons that you want to help. You want to help everybody. And sometimes the help is not coming fast enough. And one of the things that I recognize about our administrator, she has that sense of, empathy and understanding of the needs of the persons and the clients that we serve. And that is a very important attribute and asset to have, that sense of understanding of what people are going through. And therefore, she constantly tries her best to ensure that whatever we are persons who I need, we can get to them as quickly as possible. I also want to thank our secretary. As I said, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And when we meet, as we met this morning, he constantly reminds us of so many persons who are out there who are in need of our assistance. And we really would like to be able to assist everyone. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources to do so. So we are going to try to meet as many persons as we can, and hopefully we can meet the persons who are really in need. I think Secretary mentioned about some persons who are trying to find a nice word, because I see the media listening, but I really want to use some other words. Trying to defraud the system by applying for grants and they don't need it, they're taking it to do other things. And one of the things that happened when I came into the division as secretary, I was one of the persons who said that we need to find a way to get the resources to the persons who are in need, because many persons are indulging in skullduggery, as we say in Tobago, right? But one of the things that was consistent today is the smiles on the faces of those persons who got their grants and got their lands and so on today. And I heard a particular individual, I'm not going to call any names, say, to Secretary Pollard for his hard work and his insistence on getting the resources to the persons who are in need. Of course, I want to thank the staff, because without the staff, this will not be possible. Right? The Oversight Committee, I know that you would have worked overtime to try to get these out. And without you, and of course, Of course, the personal staff of Secretary Pollard for organizing today. I know pulling these things together is not always easy, but I want to thank you all for doing that. And of course, all of this would not have been possible at all if it wasn't for you, all of you who attended today and graciously accepted the grants and the parcel of land. We want to thank you all for coming out today. It really was, very special to us to have you here in person. And as I said, when I looked around and I saw the smiles on your faces, I think that is enough. That is what we work for. Because the division of settlements is about touching people, touching people's lives. Shelter is a basic human need. And that, we wish that, as I said, we could really touch more. And we are trying to find innovative ways of assisting more persons. So today, your presence here was really, we are very happy that you came out today to, be a part of this celebration. And of course, members of the media, you all are the silent people in the background. They're just simply, transmitting and sharing this moment with persons who cannot be here. We want to thank you. So again, as I said before, if I left anyone out, it was not intentional. So I want to thank you as well. Thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you, Councillor Orlando Kerr. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here with us today and you did not hear your name, you are invited to visit us at the division, or rather, the division will contact you. Yeah? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this very meaningful occasion. Congratulations once again to all of our recipients. I'm Davia Chambers saying do enjoy the remainder of your day, and do note that light refreshments will be served in the room to your right. So you'll be served. So ladies and gentlemen, you can remain seated. Thank you once again.